Jay here for Stretford Paddock, that's Joe Smith. This is Transfers Live. Ugarte deal is imminent. We're going to be getting into it. Looks like Manuel Ugarte is heading to Old Trafford, hopefully, fingers crossed, according to the latest reports. The little bit of movement there on this deal, and you get the impression, Joseph, it is going to happen. But before we get into all that, we have got other stories to talk about. We're going to be talking about Mainoo, about Pellistri. He's obviously left the club. One or two other stories as well doing the rounds. It's not just all about Manuel Ugarte, even though it does feel like it is at the minute. There's lots of other things going on when it comes to Manchester United Football Club. So make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe, and you are getting involved in the comments and the chat.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Yes.
How are we?
Very well.
Yeah.
I like how this deal's progressing. I like that everyone seems to agree this is going to happen. It's just whether it's a loan deal or a permanent deal. Although by the sounds of it, tonight's reports seem to suggest we're edging toward that permanent deal.
Oh!
I don't know where we found 50 million quid from, but we'll get into those stories. We'll get into the details, exactly what's going on with this deal, and is it going to be one that trickles on a little bit longer, or
Trickle down economics.
can we hopefully get this announced soon? And maybe, obviously, he's not going to be here for the weekend, but it'd be nice to be able to get him in and ready for the Liverpool game next weekend, wouldn't it? That'd be lovely.
Baptism of fire, eh? The Scousers.
Yes.
Absolutely. Love it. Make sure you're hitting that like button as well. Loads of people in the chat already.
Yeah.
Colin Coupleditch, Jordan Morris, Philip Lopez, Duncan D's Nuts. Everyone getting involved. Thank you as always. What?
Not sure about that.
Duncan D's Nuts. Well, that's his actual name.
That's his legal name.
That's his legal name.
D's Nuts is a fantastic surname, if that is your name.
What's the first story you've got for us?
So we'll get into Ugarte in a second, but before that, fucking hell.
Right. Corn on the cobby, buttering time.
Fucking hell. I never thought we'd see, for anyone who doesn't know, a few months ago, we had a title that was Corn on the Cobby, butter him up.
Which was so irrelevant
It
to
was
the story.
so shit.
Yeah, but I love it.
Literally all was predicated
I've
on the
got
fact
like
that cobby sounds like cob.
I keep saying, I've got like a form of Tourette's.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just find myself randomly saying, corn on the cobby, butter him up.
You say it all the time.
Yeah.
And now we've revisited it with one of the most shoddily put together Photoshops I've ever seen. So what's this at the top here? Cobby Mainoo's face with a corn effect on it. Yeah. The kit is obviously now made of corn. And what's this hot liquid butter that is being dunked into at the bottom? Yeah. I mean, yeah, he says yes, yes,
yeah.
yes.
You said yeah, like you're ashamed of this. Like
corn on the cobby, buttering time. What does buttering time mean? It's time to get the butter out. Oh, okay. United will... It's time to get the butter out, isn't it? Oh. I need to undo my jacket. That's finished me. I'm too hot. It's buttering time. Fucking hell. Right, here we go. United will sit down with Mainoo after the transfer window has closed to discuss a new deal. United will be looking to reward Mainoo for his performances and hope he commits his long-term future to the club. The Reds have no need to rush through negotiations with the 19-year-old already on a long-term contract, so it may just be a matter of extending the deal with improved terms. It's also suggested that Mainoo's camp are relaxed given his current deal runs until 2027 with the option of an extra year. And just to repeat, corn on the cobby, buttering time is our headline today. It's time to butter him, Jay. It makes absolutely no sense, except the fact that it's a throwback to a video 6 months ago that for some reason Jay can't get out of his head.
When you said buttering time, what does that mean? You went, time to butter.
Time to get the butter out. Isn't it? It's time to get the butter out. This is horrible.
People wonder what goes on in this channel, right? They wonder why sometimes we go late on a live and why we're a bit like all over the gap. It's because of shit like this, man. It's crazy. Everything about this is nuts.
Yeah.
Like, this whole thing is insane. And Corn on the Cobby, like it's the sequel.
Yeah.
Buttering time.
Well, you've had corn on the cobby, butter him up.
It's
and
like,
now with the latest release.
You know, like you had Die Hard 2, Die Harder.
Yeah.
Corn on the Cobby, buttering time.
It's buttering time.
Hey, when it was time to butter him up, it was buttering time. This is insane.
Yeah.
This whole thing you've done is mental, but it was very, very amusing, so well done.
Yeah. United giving Kobbie Mainoo a new deal. Didn't he just sign a new deal about 6 months ago?
No.
Okay. When's the last time he signed a deal? Because he's got a long-term contract, so he must have signed it somewhat
I
recently.
thought it was before. He didn't sign a deal post Everton, post Goodison, and Goodison was November.
Okay.
So sorry, you might not be that.
I thought I meant this season. I meant this season, not this last 6 months. Sorry, last season just.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, he might have done then, but I know that since his debut, he's not signed up. He's not signed a new deal because that was the whole thing when everyone was going. He's going to sign a new deal. He's going to get off a new deal, and the sort of the common reports were that he's going to sign a new deal. The club think he'll sign 100% confident he'll sign a new deal. They're not rushing with it because they don't feel like we've got to get him on a new deal.
I think maybe I thought he had signed a new deal recently.
As far as I know, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, he hasn't signed a new deal post his debut. Great. So he might have signed one before that. You might be right, before like he got that injury or when in the pre-season then, I'm not sure. But he definitely hasn't signed one since his debut, his Premier League debut.
He's probably on about 15 grand a week then, isn't he? Or something like that.
I think with players now, well not now, but I think he'll be on some sort of appearance bonus and stuff like that.
Yeah, he'll be earning decent money.
Because he's playing for Manchester United, I'm guessing, and win bonuses, although those will have been few and far between last season.
Blimey.
Addy, who's a member of the academy, has been for 11 months, says, how have you white-faced Kobbie? Quality, haha, we've not. That's not a thing.
He's been corn-faced.
Yeah, we've made his head into a corn on the cob.
Which, as far as I'm aware, has got no connotations one way or another. I think it's mental and it's horrible to look at, but I don't think it's anything offensive, is it?
No, it's not. It's offensive.
I mean, other than how offensive it is just to look at that
offensive to sanity.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's. Someone says, Chris says, do you guys need a graphic designer? No, we're sorted. Why would we need a graphic designer, bro? Come on.
Look at that.
Hey. What do you think? This has got cobbled together on Microsoft Paint.
Copied together.
Nice. Give him a new deal. Give him what he wants. Yeah. He's mint.
Right, let's move on. Speaking of giving him a new deal, someone who is getting a new deal, but not Manchester United, is Facundo Pellistri. Is that Facundo Pellistri? He looks bizarre on that. He's aged about 25 years since he had his haircut, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know the young, fresh-faced kid that we signed a couple of years ago?
That
proper looks like his dad.
High school prom picture, I know.
It is.
He looks like he's, going to the prom. Lives in like Wisconsin.
Yeah, very Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Like, good, strong boy.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He's taking his girlfriend to the prom.
Yeah. He'll be a farmer his whole life.
Yeah, he definitely.
And you know what? Fantastic.
Fair play to
He'll be probably growing the corn that
we used to butter up Kobbie with.
Exactly. A Greek tragedy.
I like that.
It works. Facundo Pellistri has joined Panathinaikos on a permanent transfer. The Uruguayan international who represented his country at the Summer's Copa America is heading to the Greek Super League to continue his career. Facundo Pellistri's transfer will guarantee €6 million and up to $2 million on top of that in performance-related add-ons. United have a buyback option for 3 years and would be due 45% of any sell-on fee. We're proper getting into the T's and C's with Ineos, aren't we? We love a T's and C's transfer. I think every transfer we've made or every sale we've made so far this summer, except maybe Wan-Bissaka, which I don't remember anything being on that, have had some level of like sell-on clause, buyback clause, first refusal clause, and we've got 2 here. So, we can always buy him back within the first 3 years. If he pops off and scores 25 goals and gets 15 assists in the next 2 years or something, we might do that. Or if they sell him to, I don't know, let's say Atletico Madrid in 3 years, United will get 45% of that fee. It makes sense to me. And we're going to see this coming to fruition in the next 2 to 5 years, aren't we? When people who we sell get sold, it's just a little kickback. It's almost that little cashback. Have you ever used that mycashback.co.uk, whatever it's called?
No.
You have to jump through right loopholes, but you can get 12 quid back for the 300 quid you spent on gig tickets or whatever.
All right, okay.
It's one of them things. And eventually the money enters your account and you're like, I never thought that
nice.
happened. We'll almost forget about this.
Yeah.
And then in 3 years' time, they'll go to Fenerbahce or something, and we'll get another 12 million or something. So could be alright.
We took a punt, didn't we, on Pellistri?
Yeah.
And it didn't quite work out, if we're being brutally honest. Had a couple of low moves. He's done okay in spells, but he's never really looked like breaking into the first team, even when everyone was sort of hankering for him after Anthony, I think, was injured, or there was a time when Anthony wasn't available and was like, we'll get Pellistri now because Anthony's not good enough anyway. But Pellistri never... He got little moments, but he didn't really get a proper chance. And I think the reason he didn't get a proper chance is when he had those moments or when he had those opportunities, he didn't quite fully take them.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he had his Amad Diallo moment against the Scousers, or he did what Garnacho did when he got into the team and he was just like, you know what, smashing in goals and assists, and you're like, we're going to have to play this kid. With Pellistri, he had some games where he did okay, but nothing more. And I think, what is he now, 22?
Yeah.
So it's make or break time, and obviously in terms of his United career, it's break. I'm a bit surprised he's gone to Panathinaikos, I'm not going to lie to you.
How come?
I just feel like he's still relatively young. He's a Uruguayan international. He's coming from Manchester United. No disrespect to the Greek League. I think he could have gone to a higher standard of football.
Yeah.
I do. I don't think the Greek League's tearing up any trees. And I think he could have gone to Spain. He could have gone to anywhere, really, and played at a higher level. I think he could have gone to a decent club in Spain. Maybe not in Barcelona or anywhere like that. I don't know, like a Real Sociedad or whatever. And been in a decent league and been competitive. But you know, he wants to go there, and if he does well there, like you say, he might get a move to a different league. Yeah. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let us know what you think of that move. Is anyone disappointed or confused by it? Does anyone doubt it, question it? I think it sort of makes sense, like a lot of what United have done this summer. It makes sense. James Hunsinger says, disappointed it didn't work out at United, but I wish him luck. People saying all they can hear is me dying. Yes, I was dying. I'm better now. Am I doing the smash the like button comment? Yes, you are, Jim Mack. Ross Murphy says, not really, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's one of those. Andy Moore says he'll end up in Italy. I mean, it's not one of those where you go, what? We've let Facundo Pellistri go to Panathinaikos for €6 million. Are we insane? All just makes sense. And I wish him well. Like I said, I've said this a few times, I took my lad to this press conference they did with Pellistri and Garnacho at Carrington last season, where they gave those two, because those two hadn't done a lot of press in English. So they took a load of kids there for them to do like this mock press conference. So it gave them a chance to practice their English, face some questions that were obviously fluffy and pre-planned and all that. And he was a dead nice guy. He was dead great with the kids. Maybe, you know, chatting to my son for a little while. He was sound. Nice. So I think he's a good lad, and I hope it works out for him at Panathinaikos, and I hope, no disrespect to that club, but he gets a move somewhere a bit bigger after that. Yeah, me too. Right, should we get to the little juicy headline piece? Yes, let's do this. Here we go. Ugarte, what we got here? Manuel, you got it? I can't cope, right. You was doing all right with the cobby buttering someone. It wasn't. And now, that was dreadful. Yeah, it was dreadful, but it tickled me. And now you've just stuck him in a well and gone, Manuel, you got it. Which doesn't, it's not a pun, it's not a thing. It's just the rantings of a mad person. Manuel, you got it. Yeah, Ethan, take away the fact that you've put him in a well. Yeah. What the fuck has this got to do with anything? These words we're reading here, Manuel, you got it. What's that mean? What's that got to do with United signing him at all? Have you two been smoking weed over there this afternoon? What even is this? Who suggested let's put him in? Don't say he's in a well, because you put him in the well. We can all do that. You could have put some spam in a well, because spam rhymes with man a little bit. You can't just extract it and extract it and extract it from reality. What's it got to do with anything? Ooh, sure. Ethan just went, ooh. Oh, yeah. Right, let's have a look at this then. United are set to sign Manuel Ugarte on a permanent deal from PSG. This is from the Metro. We're not using the Metro, are we? Surely. Have we got another version of this? Because RMC is not too shabby. We've got one from RMC as well. So he says that everyone at the club accepted the fact that he will leave by the end of the market, but they still need to find common ground with Manchester United. This could be in the form of a loan with an option to buy, potentially mandatory. Paris has already lowered its initial demands, but does not want to lose out on the Uruguayan midfielder recruited last summer for €60 million. The Red Devils are not, however, ready to go to any length for a player who was very often on the bench last season. The agreement between the two parties is close, but it still needs to be finalised. There was also a report in ESPN as well. Have we got a graphic for that or no? We've got a graphic. We haven't got a graphic for that, but it's the same similar story from ESPN. This was Rob Dawson out of the ESPN, who said United are growing more optimistic that a deal can be agreed before the deadline. United are hopeful an agreement can be reached
whether it's an immediate transfer or an initial loan with an obligation or option to make the move permanent next summer. The 23-year-old is keen and was left out of PSG squad for the opening game on Friday. Obviously, the Metro go one step further with quoting Le Parisien there, saying that both clubs are close to an agreement over a €60 million move. A deal which would see Ugarte join United on a permanent basis this summer is close to being completed. United will pay £51 million for the 23-year-old, a fee very close to the one PSG parted with only last summer to sign him from Sporting Lisbon. While there are some details still to be finalised, the move is now expected to be completed in the coming days. It feels like every party wants this deal to happen.
Yeah.
He wants to join United. We've heard that from many different sources.
Yeah.
United clearly want him. Talks have been ongoing for a while. PSG clearly want to sell him. The only sticking point seems to be the fee. And I do think that if they get the full 60 million for him, which is what they paid a year ago, only to put him on the bench. I mean, he played 30-odd games for him, so he wasn't, never on the pitch. But does that feel as though they're very much getting what they want, and we're kind of sort of falling to their estimations of him? Because how do you get the exact same price to someone that you bought and deemed surplus to requirements?
I get your point. I think the flip side to that would be, what are we getting? What are we getting? Not what are they selling, what are we getting?
A starting defensive, well, probably starting, depending on how well Casemiro continues. But, a long-term defensive midfielder in an area where we're very thin for defensive midfielders.
And for me, he starts.
Yeah.
I'm not bowled over by this Casemiro's okay pre-season and his decent performance against Fulham. Because I think a lot of what the good stuff we saw from Casemiro in pre-season and in the Community Shield, I know that is pre-season, and against Fulham was further up the pitch. It wasn't him putting in tackles and protecting the defence. It was him progressing up the ball at the pitch and picking out some passes and linking up with the attackers, which is fine, but we need someone who can do that stuff in front of the defence, and I don't think Casemiro's that guy anymore. And if we're going to pay 51 million quid for a player that's going to start for Manchester United, playing practically every game for Manchester United in a role that is vital, I don't mind that. And I think that, and also at 23, there's every chance he could be here for a decade. I mean, it might not be, but he could be. So I don't think it's too unreasonable to think Manchester United are paying 51 million quid for a starting midfielder who's 23 years old. I think that's fair enough.
I think if I'm PSG, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I can
I
sort
get
of
your
understand your point. I just think when the United buy someone, doesn't quite work out, and sell them for the same price we bought them for, has that ever happened? Like, I feel as though...
Do you usually take a hit, like,
Yeah.
Di Maria or Lukaku, whatever, or Veron, if you want to go back even further, when you sell them on, you do take a bit of a hit. But I think a big part of that is, PSG, I don't know what goes on with their finances, but I'm guessing they can afford to miss out on it if they need to. And also, it's what we need. And plus, let's not forget, there's a reason we want him. He's not had a bad season. He's not been amazing, but he's not been like a shambles where he's had this disastrous season where he's played 20 games and he was shit in 15 of them. He's been a good player for them. That's why United looked at him and gone, actually, he's decent and we'll have him. So I'm not massively against it. I get it. It's annoying because you think, well, hang on a minute, you don't want him anymore, but you want to get your full money back. Yeah. What you paid
like
for him.
Taking him back to the shop within your 30 days.
That seems excessive. But if you're saying to me we can get a 23-year-old defensive midfielder who can come in and do a job for Manchester United, which is what I think we expect him to do, and we're going to pay, 2/3 what we paid for Casemiro, okay, yeah. I can live with that. I know the Casemiro deal was bad, but I can kind of live with it, to be honest with you.
What are people saying in the comments? Because it's a tricky one, this.
Yeah, it's Wayne Finnegan, who's been a member of the Academy for 43 months, says, evening lads, hope you well. Our business ins outs has been pretty good. More business in January. We will surprise a lot of doubters this year. Potato Alliance says, did we just do an Everton to Fulham? We played hardball and they bought someone else. Also, Rajan Hanuman, welcome to the Academy. Let's know what you think. Charles Hobbs says maybe PSG's value is based on value, not for their game plan. Liam Knight says would love to sign him. Chris says reports in France are saying we are paying 60, and reports in England saying we want a loan with an obligation. Yeah. Interesting. Michael O'Brien says he's well worth it if he works out. I get that. Sean Greaves says like the look of him, looks roguish in a good way. Compare it to the Fred transfer, it's a good deal, says Adam Larica. John Adair says good evening. Also, someone saying where are the super chats? I think we've read them out. I think we've read out all the super chats. Yes, but keep your comments coming.
Just on him as a player.
Yeah,
I think I saw some stats about him being one of the sort of biggest numbers in terms of tackling in Europe last season, or in the top 5 leagues, even though he wasn't playing every week. His tackling numbers are fantastic. He is defensively exceptional, and his passing numbers are very good as well. I don't think he's the most sort of adept, quick, one-touch, going to break the lines passer, but his completion rates and his numbers in terms of how many passes he makes per game, in terms of short, medium and long passing, are all very, very good. So he's someone that can, statistically at least, do the things we need him to do. Get the ball, win it back. He's exceptional at winning the ball back, and then progress the ball up the pitch. He can do that as well. So I think he's a very, very good player. It just depends on, does he suit the system? Because he hasn't quite suited the system at PSG, which is why I think I'm surprised that they're going, he's not quite worked out here, but we want all the money. I just think surely a little, maybe a 40 plus 10 or a 45 plus 5 or something, just to give me the feeling that you're at least accepting that it's not quite worked out for him. Because I appreciate that if we're getting this player and look at the player rather than what they're selling. But on the other hand, I think, well, if we are looking at it, we could say that maybe once he's taken the big step up, it hasn't quite worked out. So if you want to doubt him a little bit, surely his time at PSG goes into that doubt, and therefore I think we should be financially compensated for the fact that the last 12 months have only made us doubt this player rather than be reassured of his qualities, if you understand what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. I just feel like as well with PSG, it's very difficult to sort of make a proper assessment.
I get that.
Because it's like, how many games did he play last season? I'm just having a look. So he played 25 League 1 games. How many games is there in League 1? So how many games did he miss?
I think it's a 20 team league, isn't it?
So there was 34 games in total, and he played 24. He played 37 in all competitions, so yeah. It's not too shabby. He's decent age. You know, they won the league by 9 points. There wasn't really any dramas there. But that to them is that the season they want. They want to do bits in the Champions League. They got to a semi, didn't they? Yeah. Which is, for them, is quite good. But I just feel it's a bit of a weird club, innit? It's a weird way to make an assessment because it's like, you can play your part in winning them the title and people don't give a shit.
And also they've got, was it Zaire Emery? Is it Emery who's come through in midfield? Who's a young player who's sort of come through, and I don't know if they thought he would be playing as often as he did.
Yeah. Warren Zaire Emery.
Yeah, and he came through and played a decent amount.
He played
as well.
26 games last season.
Yeah, so I think
43 in all competitions.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a young kid who they maybe weren't planning on him playing when they signed Ugarte. So I get these things can happen, but I just think just knock a 5 million off. But for me, I'm really excited for this transfer because it's one of them things that in the last decade we've signed Matic and Casemiro as the two defensive midfielders. It's a position that not even in the last decade. Look back over the last 20 years. We've signed so few defensive midfielders. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's a cultural thing or whether we think we play differently to that. But you look at all the other top teams, they've had big, strong, not necessarily physically big, but big in terms of stature, strong, defensively minded players doing jobs in there, holding the ball well, winning the ball back well. They all have done it. And yet United have sort of had this weird aversion to signing defensive midfielders. Do you know what I mean? Like
every team that's
when do we
won the league,
sign them?
For going back to when we were last winning the league, when we had Carrick in that role, has had a defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
Whether that's Fabinho, whether that's Rodri, whether that's Fernandinho,
yeah.
Whether that's Kante for both Chelsea and for Leicester.
Matic for Chelsea as well.
For Chelsea. Like, they've always had a DM. And like I say, we bought Matic, it didn't quite work out the way we wanted
Past
him
his
to.
best as well.
Bought Casemiro, has given us one good season. I know some people think he's still got something left in him. I don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird that we've sort of we trusted McFred for probably far too long in that role, but he played 2 8s over a 10 and an 8 in a 6 role.
Yeah, a big 10 in McTominay and an 8 in front.
Yeah, and that obviously didn't work. It's just weird that we've kind of gone, we'll work a way around it, and it just hasn't worked out for us, and it's cost us, man. So listen, if we can get this kid, this takes us to the next level in terms of the transfer window. I think it goes from being a good transfer window to being a great transfer window. I really do think. If you'd have said to me at the beginning of the window, we're going to get a striker, a full-back, a centre-back.
2 centre-backs.
2 centre-backs, sorry. and a DM, I'd have said, fuck him, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. Especially if all those players are players who are ready to play for the first team. Because you remember in the transfer window a few years ago where we bought like Diallo and Pellistri, and they were children that had, I think we loaned them both out almost immediately. It's like, well, these aren't playing.
There was no chance they were going to come into the
whereas every player we've bought this summer has a claim or a good chance of playing a lot of minutes.
That's what, when people talk about raising the floor of the squad, is that you've got players in there. Even Lenny Yoro is 18, but if he started it, no one would be surprised.
No, bat an eyelid.
You're raising the floor of the squad so that everyone, it's not just about your starting 11. Let's say Hoyland's starting, you bring Xerxes in, he can do a different job, but on his day maybe even as good or better than. Mazraoui, on his day, is maybe as good or better than Dalot. Ugarte on his day, maybe as good or better than this Casemiro. Same with Yoro, same with De Ligt. Like, we're bringing players in, all of them under 50, 60 million quid. No one's breached 60 million quid. It's 50 million quid or less so far, or thereabouts. All of them can literally just switch in and out with the people in first position on there, or they're going to be their first position themselves. That's how you do it. City don't have a massive squad. People think they do, but they've got 16 players, all of whom are just about as good as each other. So it looks like they're always rotating because they've got loads of players who are brilliant. We've got 12, 13 who are very good, and the drop-off after that is massive. This kind of signing, Xerxes, Mazraoui, they mean that when you have to switch out, the dip isn't there, and that's what United need, because injuries are going to happen. You can't have your A player at 100% and your B player at 60. They need to be right behind them, like hopefully Casemiro and Ugarte will be.
We were so fortunate that the likes of Martinez and Varane were fit for that final.
Yeah.
Like, that did us such a touch, that, because I don't think we win it without either of them.
No.
And they were, so having both come in, both be ready as well. I know, obviously, I think Mainoo went off after 60 odd minutes, whatever, or 70 minutes, but to both play the part the way they did, and they were fantastic that day, it shows, because had we not had those, I think we'd have struggled, because like you say, the drop-off is there. Yeah. So I get it, I understand it, I keep going on about, we did a video earlier on, if you saw it, without a central midfielder, defensive midfielder, to have fewer central midfielders now than we had last season, I think will be criminal. Yeah. And I think this kid will be a very good signing. Let us know whether you agree. It looks like it's going to happen, and more power to him. Yeah. I think on the left back though, we're tagging the left back. Loads of people in the chat and comments keep him coming. Punch Paint says, can we test Mazraoui at left back? I thought you can play both. So when are we going to see it? He's only played.
There's only one game in. Come on.
Jesus Christ! When
are we going to see it? Rather, they got left back at home, more like, eh?
Oh my God, this is proper like...
Why is he in a well as well?
Why is he in a well?
What was the last one?
Chilling in a well. Get it?
This is a well joke again. What was the other one that we just saw?
Rather, they got left back at home.
Why did he get put in a well as soon as we read this headline? Hey? Yes, I know, but why have we got two different ones? Are they the same? Are they the same story? Chilling in a well. Get it? Do you get it? You know what? This makes the Ugarte well one kind of make sense.
Okay, yeah, right.
Because this does make sense.
Yeah.
Ish. I mean, I don't know why he's in a well, but obviously he's got well in his name.
I'm not. I mean, the pun's fine. I'm not liking the story though.
No. So let's get into this, and then we'll go. Yeah. We'll get to Manchester United are considering moves for either Ben Chilwell or Marcus Alonso. I mean, we can stop it there. What do you make of either of those things happening?
Well, for starters, I prefer players that haven't killed anyone. Just personally, that's my preference, right? I'm just going to put that out there. That's just the sort of benchmark I have. Other people may have a different opinion. That's just mine. As for Ben Chilwell, he's okay, right?
I didn't think you were going to say that.
Well, I am, and I did.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Chilwell, he's all right. I don't look at him and go, he's the answer to our problems, to be honest with you. I'd rather see Harry Amas get some minutes.
I cannot believe we would ever possibly be linked with Ben Chilwell.
Okay.
I couldn't in a million years get my head around why we would do that. I think this is he's been offered to Man United situation rather than United want Ben Chilwell situation. He's surplus to requirements at Chelsea. Maresca's literally said that on telly today. Yeah. He's going to go. United need left backs. Let's try and get a deal done. Because he's injured constantly.
He is injured.
He's literally constantly injured. We've already got two injury-prone left backs. The last thing we need is to bring in another one who's not that good when he's fit and is never fit.
Yeah.
How does that work?
No.
That doesn't make any sense. And as far as Marcus Alonso is concerned, he wasn't good enough for United 6 years ago when he was at his peak. Let alone now.
Not just for the reasons I've already mentioned, but also the whole didn't he stop taking the knee and didn't tell anyone and just did it? And I just think he's a dickhead.
Yeah.
I can't stand him.
But isn't he also like 34 and
33?
33 and just not that good?
No.
By like anyone's estimation. I cannot.
If you want to move away, right, as a club, you start making these moral judgments, right, which obviously we have, right, it's fine. So you're going to do a moral judgment with certain players like Mason Greenwood, for example, and then not with others. You know, morals doesn't come into it. And let's not forget, this is was it Marko Arnautovic? We didn't because of a moral judgment on his behaviour, stuff like that. So if we are going to look at players when it comes to moral grounds, surely you've got to take that into consideration for all of them.
So.
And also, we're going into this thing where we're buying young players with selling value, players that can play in the team for, you know, a number of years, and then you're going to get a 33-year-old who is bang average at best and has more skeletons in his closet than any player who's played in the Premier League, and we're going to go and get him. Fuck off. And as for Ben Chilwell, he's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
how old is Ben Chilwell? Isn't he about 27?
Yeah, I mean, he's fine. He's all right. He could probably do you an okay job, but his injury record isn't great.
His injury record's terrible.
Yeah, so it's just thing
relying on that.
You could have a situation where who's our left back? Well, it's not Malacia, he's injured. It's not Luke Shaw, he's injured, and Ben Chilwell's injured as well. So 17-year-old Harry Hamas is going to have to start, or we're going to have to play Mazraoui there or whatever. No, I think if you're going to go out and get a left back as an option, get someone who isn't proper injury prone. I don't even mind the fact as much that he's not fitting in at Chelsea because it's such a bin fire there.
Yeah.
That's almost meaningless now. You could actually be mint and be at Chelsea, not getting in their resis because the manager doesn't know who you are. But I just don't think that Ben Chilwell's that guy, to be honest with you.
If he was fully fit and had a very good injury record, and we were up for him like on loan or something, you know, just because we need to bridge the gap until Malacia is back and Shaw's fit again, I could see it.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's injury prone all the time as well, like you said, you're easily sat in a position where you've got 3 injured left backs.
Yeah.
2 of whom are, you know, sort of in their late 20s, and the other one hasn't played since he was 2 years younger than he is now. That doesn't make sense. Get someone in. If you're going to get, to be honest, if you're going to get a loan, not Marcus Alonso, but I can see why you might get an older player on loan, like I said, just till January to get people fit again. But then we're back in the Reguilon situation where we thought January would be sorted, and after January we had Lindelof and all sorts playing at left back. So, you know, we need someone who can play. And as Ronaldo says, the best ability is availability, and the last thing we need is someone who's never available.
I mean, yeah, you're right. It was everything you said is right. It's just a worse version of Luke Shaw. Yeah. It's just a player who's almost injured as much as he is, if not more, and isn't as good as him. Yeah. And that just doesn't make any sense. I could get it if you even got someone who's a bit average but he's fit all the time, and you think, okay, he could do you a job in the Premier League. He's okay. Do you know what I mean? He did all right at Leicester, and he's done okay at times at Chelsea. If he was fit all the time, that'd be all right. But with the injury problems, no, I completely agree with you, Joe.
Yeah.
Jim Mack says, is Fellaini available? Heaven Soul says, speaking of Reguilon, we could probably go for him.
Oh,
Chris Buxton says, Jay's head is a perfectly spherical, shiny ball.
You didn't have to read that.
It's a super chat, you've got to read it out. No, it wasn't a super chat, it was just a chat. Donatello Does Machines says, window 10 out of 10 if we sell Anthony at any price. Tegan Lamont, welcome to the first team. Joshua Bowater says, off topic, lads, like we have a topic. But who do you think replaces Pep? Think Arteta would go if they came for him. Obviously, it depends if they're in League 2 or not.
I reckon it's hard now, isn't it? There's not an obvious successor. I don't know. I think Arteta might work.
Yeah.
But Arsenal looking to get him on a new contract, aren't they? But
I think Arteta would rather stay at Arsenal.
Do you?
I think Arsenal's a bigger club than City.
Yeah, but you ain't got the money. Or the squad.
I think he'd be better off staying at Arsenal. I think he could build something at Arsenal and build it as if he's the guy that built it. And
get all the credit.
Get all the credit.
Yeah.
You've done it. Arsenal is a massive... I mean, I've got no time for Arsenal. I think the fans are absolutely knobheads. But they're a big club.
They're the third biggest club in England.
They are. Behind us and then the Scouts.
League titles.
Yeah. And also, the fan base. They've got a massive global fan base. They've got a massive fan base across the country. There's a lot to like about Arsenal in terms of like the stature and stuff. I know, like I said, the fan base is full of idiots. But like they are a huge club. And if you're going in there and you're the guy that got that club that seemed well out of it when it came to title races and everything, and you turn it around to the point where they're winning titles, and you've built that team, and you've got them playing football that everyone's loving, and you've got the Emirates packed out every week, or are you going to go with the ones with 115 charges hanging over them that everyone hates, that's cheated?
Yeah, and also
is complete sports washing.
Yeah.
Are you going to go and do that?
Probably not.
And then be hated by the fan base that you actually seem to have some affinity with as well? Because he does seem to have a good connection with the Arsenal fans, maybe from his playing days. But you're going to ruin all that going to a smaller club? I don't think so.
And also, all you can do is be compared to Pep.
Yeah.
And no offence to, well, not no offence.
Well,
You're not going to win 6 titles in 8 years.
No.
You're not going to repeat what Pep did. So therefore, like you said at Arsenal, he could win 1 title in 9 years, like Klopp did at Liverpool, and be considered a hero.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to City and you win 1 title in 9 years, you didn't last 9 years.
No, I mean,
that's the difference.
When you boil it down, like, Wenger is seen as this revolutionary, the greatest manager of all time, and all this nonsense. Yeah, he did very well there. I think was it 3 titles in 20 odd years. Do you know what I mean? And it was like that he's lauded for that, and I get it. If Arteta went there and won a title, or maybe won 2. They'd be like, you actually, not only did you break the stranglehold of City, you got Arsenal back to the top. It'd just be an amazing story. And I think he quite likes Arsenal. I get it. If I was him, I wouldn't leave Arsenal for City. And El says, Ugarte, fight for your right to depart. That's a good pun, that. Joe C says, you think Casemiro already knows he's going to be replaced in the starting 11? He's been a member of the academy for 44 months.
No.
Possibly.
I don't think he will.
No, I don't know what's going on there. It's all just a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think, is that it?
Yeah.
That's it. It's been a mixed bag tonight. The whole well theme was strange, but I get it.
I quite liked it.
And he kind of made it work. The Kobe Mainoo one ended me, so well done on that. Yeah. And a big thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Make sure if you're not doing already, you are subscribing to the channel. We're going to be back with the news from here tomorrow in the studio. Plus, going to have off the bar me, him, House, and McCullough. So make sure you are subscribing so you don't miss out on any of that stuff. That's been Joe Smith. I'm Jay Motti. This has been Transfers Live. Thanks for watching.